For centuries, two empires defined the ancient world through sheer might, ambition, and legendary engineering. But an empire is only as strong as the men who protect its heart. From the east arose the Achaemenid Persian Empire, a realm of immense wealth and culture, guarded by a force shrouded in mystery and myth, the 10,000 Immortals. And from the west came the Roman Empire, a relentless machine of conquest and order, whose emperor was protected by history's most infamous personal guard, the Praetorians. One unit was the eternal shield of the King of Kings, a symbol of unending power. The other was both the protector and the predator in the palace, a double-edged sword whose loyalty was always for sale. They were separated by centuries and continents, never destined to meet on a real battlefield. But today, we break the bonds of history. We ask the ultimate question: if these two legendary forces, the perfect royal guard versus the politically savvy elites, clashed in their prime, who would emerge victorious? This is more than a comparison of spears and shields. It's a dissection of doctrine, loyalty, and sheer combat effectiveness. Prepare for a deep dive into one of history's greatest what-if scenarios. This is the Persian Immortals versus the Roman Praetorian Guard. To understand the Immortals, you must first understand their role. They were far more than mere bodyguards. They were the brilliant fusion of propaganda and military might. Their very name, the Immortals, was a masterstroke of psychological warfare. Their number was always exactly 10,000. If a man fell sick, was wounded, or killed, he was instantly replaced from an elite reserve. This created the terrifying illusion of an invincible, undying regiment that could never be diminished. Their appearance was meticulously designed for spectacle and function. Historical accounts, primarily from the Greek historian Herodotus, describe them in rich, multicolored robes beneath coats of scale mail armor. They carried large, wicker shields, lightweight for marching, but effective against arrows. Their arsenal was versatile: a short spear for thrusting, a powerful composite bow for volley fire, a quiver of arrows slung at the hip, and a dagger for close work. This made them unique, a single unit that could unleash a hailstorm of arrows at a distance and then effectively engage as heavy infantry in the melee. They were the personal guard of the King of Kings, present at all court ceremonies, a living symbol of his power. But on campaign, they were the core of the army, the ultimate strategic reserve deployed to crush weakened enemy lines or stem a breakthrough. They were professional soldiers, paid handsomely, and enjoyed privileges that fostered immense loyalty. They were not just defending a king, they were upholding the divine order of the empire itself. If the Immortals were a symbol of eternal power, the Praetorian Guard was the embodiment of raw political ambition cloaked in military discipline. Their story begins not in the palace, but in the field. The Praetorium was the tent of a Roman general on campaign, and his cohorse Praetoria was a hand-picked unit of bodyguards and elite soldiers tasked with his protection. When Rome's first emperor, Augustus, came to power, he transformed this military concept into a permanent institution. He stationed 9 cohorts of these elite troops, roughly 4,500 men, just outside Rome, creating a personal army whose sole loyalty was to him, a stark warning to any enemy, foreign or domestic, of who held ultimate power. But this concentration of power would become a double-edged sword for nearly every emperor who followed. The Praetorians were the best-equipped soldiers in the world. They wore the superior Lorica Segmentata, interlocking iron plates that offered superb protection and mobility. They carried the large, curved scutum, a shield designed to form the infamous testudo formation. Their arsenal was brutally efficient for close-quarters combat. The Gladius, a short, thrusting sword perfect for the tight spaces of a city street or a shield wall, and the pilum, a heavy javelin designed to bend on impact, weighing down an enemy shield or piercing straight through it. This was a weapon that killed quickly and efficiently. They enjoyed unparalleled benefits, double the pay of a legionary, shorter service terms, and immense social prestige. They were the only soldiers allowed to bear arms within the sacred precincts of Rome itself. This privileged position, however, slowly corroded their role from protector to kingmaker. Their loyalty was not to the abstract idea of Rome, but to the man who could fill their coffers. Their infamy is etched into history. They murdered the mad Emperor Caligula and installed his uncle Claudius on the throne. They later assassinated Emperor Pertinax and famously auctioned off the imperial throne to the highest bidder, Didius Julianus, in one of the most blatant acts of political corruption in history. They were warriors, yes, but their true battlefield was often the palace corridors. They were the wolves at the emperor's door, a necessary defense against outside threats, but a constant, deadly danger if the hand that fed them ever showed weakness. Their combat experience was often questioned. While some cohorts accompanied emperors on campaign, many more were garrison troops in Rome, their skills honed more in policing and intimidation than in large-scale warfare. This contrast between their pristine image and their sometimes questionable martial record is central to understanding how they might fare against a purebred fighting force like the Immortals. To pit these titans against each other, we must move beyond legend and break them down into quantifiable components. We'll assume a neutral battlefield and a standard strength of 10,000 men, putting the Praetorians at their historical peak size for this hypothetical scenario. This is a head-on clash of doctrine, technology, and will. First, protection, armor and shields. This is perhaps the most lopsided category. The Immortals' primary protection was a corset of scaled bronze or iron plates over a colorful tunic. Effective, but it left gaps. Their shield was a large rectangle of wicker or leather, light for long marches and adequate against arrows, but poor defense against heavy, penetrating attacks. The Praetorian, on the contrast, was a masterpiece of personal armor. His Lorica Segmentata was a system of interlocked iron plates over a leather harness, distributing weight efficiently and providing exceptional defense for the torso and shoulders against slashes and thrusts. His shield was a massive, curved rectangle of laminated wood and leather, bound with iron. It was a mobile wall, capable of deflecting stones, spears, and javelins, and forming the infamous near-impenetrable testudo formation. Verdict: overwhelming advantage. Praetorian Guard. Next, offensive capability, weapons. Here the philosophies diverge. The Immortal was a versatile hybrid fighter. He was equipped with a medium-length spear for melee, a powerful composite bow for volley fire, a quiver of arrows slung at the hip, and a dagger for close work. This made them unique, a single unit that could unleash a hailstorm of arrows at a distance and then effectively engage as heavy infantry in the melee. The Praetorian was a specialized close-quarters butcher. His arsenal was designed for one purpose: to destroy the enemy immediately in front of him. His pilum javelin was a unique psychological and physical weapon. Its long, thin iron shank was designed to bend on impact, rendering an enemy shield useless and often trapping it. This was followed by the ruthless efficiency of the Gladius, a short, thrusting sword perfect for the tight space of a shield wall, where slashing weapons were useless. It was a weapon that killed quickly and efficiently. Verdict: for versatility, Immortals. For melee lethality, Praetorians. A draw, with edges in different areas. Then, experience and morale. This is the intangible X factor. The Immortals were a permanent standing army, constantly on campaign with the king, patrolling the vast frontiers of the empire and putting down rebellions. Their morale was likely superb, built on a foundation of cultural pride, divine purpose, and direct loyalty to a monarch they considered a god-king.
The Praetorians' experience was more mixed. While some cohorts saw fierce combat on imperial campaigns, many were garrison troops in Rome, their duties leaning towards policing, crowd control, and ceremony. Their morale was not tied to patriotism, but to pay and privileges. This made them fiercely loyal to an emperor who rewarded them, but dangerously rebellious toward one who did not. In a tough, grinding battle, the Immortals' campaign-hardened endurance and unified spirit might outweigh the Praetorians' comfort. Verdict: slight advantage, Immortals. So we arrive at the moment of truth. The armies are arrayed. The Praetorian Guard, a solid block of iron and discipline. The Immortals, a more fluid, versatile force of 10,000. The battle begins at range. The Immortals unleash their first and greatest advantage, their composite bows. A hail of arrows arcs toward the Roman line, but the Praetorians respond instantly, raising their scuda into the testudo formation. The arrows thud harmlessly into the wooden shields, a few finding gaps but causing negligible casualties. The Roman line advances, unwavering, a slow-moving fortress. As the distance closes, the Praetorians prepare their own ranged attack. They loose a volley of pila. This is not an arrow, it is a heavy, armor-piercing missile. The effect is devastating. The javelins slam into the Persian lines. Their wicker shields are useless, often pinned and rendered cumbersome by the bending metal shanks. The Immortal scale armor is good, but not good enough to consistently stop the concentrated force and sharp point of a pilum. Gaps are torn in the Persian formation. Men fall. The advance is disrupted before the lines even meet. Then the crash. The two elite forces collide in a grinding melee. This is where the Praetorians' specialization becomes decisive. In the press of bodies, there is no room for long spears or archery. It is a world of short, brutal thrusts. The Praetorian's large scutum locks with his comrades, creating a solid wall. Over the top, his short Gladius stabs with mechanical efficiency. The Immortal, trained with spear and bow, is now forced to fight in conditions that nullify his strengths. His shorter spear is cumbersome in the tight press. His armor is inferior. His bravery is unquestionable, but his tools are wrong for this specific fight. The Roman line, heavier, better protected, and armed for this exact scenario, begins to slowly, inexorably push forward. The discipline of the testudo gives way to the brutal pushing match of the falcon, the Greek name for the Roman shield wall. It is a battle of attrition the Praetorians are built to win. The verdict is, in a single set-piece battle on neutral ground, the technological and tactical advantages of the Praetorian Guard would likely prove decisive. Their superior armor and the legionary system of large shield and short sword were specifically designed to break other infantry formations. There are the anvil, the Immortals in this scenario are the hammer that shatters against them. However, history is never that simple. This victory comes with enormous asterisks. The Praetorians win the battle, but would they win the war? The Immortals were part of a much larger, campaign-hardened military machine. Their versatility and endurance on long marches across the empire was legendary. The Praetorians, often garrison-bound, were not. Furthermore, the Immortals' legendary loyalty stands in sharp contrast to the Praetorians' feigned treachery. In a prolonged conflict, the unwavering resolve of the Immortals might ultimately outlast the political opportunism of the Guard. So the Praetorians take the duel of champions, but the Immortals' legacy as the perfect, loyal Imperial Guard remains, perhaps, untarnished by this single defeat. So what do you think? Did we get it right, or does the versatility of the Immortals win the day? Could their numbers and archery eventually break the Roman will? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this historical showdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the past.